Hey everybody, at this point we've got all the bracing on, we've voiced our tops, and we're ready to put this thing on. So let's get right to it. This is going to be a lot like installing the back. We're going to lay this over, we're going to mark where all of the braces come out the side, and we're going to route those channels out about 2.5 millimeters, then glue this thing up. A few things we want to do before we do that. Make sure that our center lines are marked on the end graft here and up here on the neck block. Make sure we've got that center line. If you have a gap right there, hopefully in between that gap you can mark on the block itself. If you've got this closed up, then go ahead and make a white pencil mark just so we can find that center. It's really important that we're able to line the center up here along with this. If your center seam on your top is difficult to find here and here, make sure that you mark that out with a pencil line. This one is done, but this one I'm going to mark a little bit better. All right, those are all marked. To get these lined up, I do like to use a cam clamp. Make sure the center is aligned and the clamp is connecting on the heel block underneath and on the top, and that you're not clamping in so wide into the guitar body on the top or the back that you're clamping onto something unsupported. We don't want to do that. Just be super careful. If you don't have cam clamps, just a quick clamp like this will work just fine. Mark everything out here. With the X-brace angles being so funky, they can be a little difficult to mark. Don't be afraid to start your cuts a little further inside those lines so you can creep up to them. Accuracy is really important. And on this upper one, where it comes through at an extreme angle across this upper bout, it's really difficult to get this one correct. Got all 6 points marked. We bring these lines up over here, mark on the top. We mark up on the top so that we can connect those angles across and hopefully end up with an accurate line. And for this part, it might help to do that with a white pencil. Now again, we are getting the upper transverse brace and 4 points of those X braces. All right, those marks are all transferred to the top. Mark on the upper transverse. Now for the X brace, I do like to use just a long ruler. Make sure I can go all the way across. And if your line fall into one of your open kerf lines and you just can't get a good line on there, well, that's pretty common. Don't worry about it, just do the best you can. Okay, all of our lines are on here. Mark them out with, just put a little mark on the top of them with a Sharpie so I don't lose track of what I'm doing and which line I'm cutting. So those pencil lines disappear into rosewood pretty quickly. Now all the channels are marked. We can go ahead and cut those in and then come back with the Dremel. So let's cut those. To mark the depth on these, you can do that a couple of ways. Just use a ruler, measure down 2.5 millimeters, make your mark on here with a pencil. You can put a piece of tape on the bottom. What I like to do is take the offcut from the top after I thicknessed it, use my marking gauge, use this top as a guide, and this will be at least a starting point. And I'm making these marks, of course, way longer than I need to, but that's okay because the bindings are gonna come in here. We're gonna route the entire binding channel out. It's gonna take all this away, so I have no problem going a little bit further than I need to with that line just to make sure it's marked. I can see it's marked. Might be hard to see on the camera, but I've got my 2.5 millimeter line. Now I can cut down to that. Go inside of the lines just to make sure that we don't go too far. Now with the top braces coming through, you're not gonna look through the sound hole and look back up at all these braces where they come through the linings and be able to see that. You might be able to see these if you look hard enough, definitely not down here. Chances of anybody seeing them pretty slim, but for the sake of structural integrity, craftsmanship, lots of arguments to be made for making these as clean and accurate as you can. And I do like to use a guide block for these X braces especially. It's very difficult to eye this. Two and a half millimeters does not take long to cut. It's very easy to overcut it. I try to line my saw up onto my angle, and then I bring the block up to the saw. Those are done. Now it's time to set the Dremel up. If you remember this, I've got this set so that it's 2.5 millimeters from here down where the sandpaper is, so that I can double check my braces where I let them into the sides. I use this for my depth gauge. You can also take something that you know is about 2.5, which is the top offcuts after we thickness those. So that you can just set down on a bench and adjust your depth there, or you can just simply take a ruler and measure it. I am going to adjust it here. I like that better. All right. And I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I come in from this side and then I lift it up, come out and go in, just to prevent any tear out that might cause bigger issues than what the binding and purfling are going to cover up later. Now it's time for a test fit. So put this on and see where we need to touch up. All right, looks like most places still need to get adjusted, so I'm gonna go around, remark where we need to widen these up, and take the file to them, take care of them that way. Now these I'm gonna mark with my white pencil just so it's easier to see. This regular lead pencil just blends in so easily. And again, carrying over these lines to the top. Now in using the file for this, again, this one has what I refer to as a safety side. So this edge has no teeth on it. That allows me to get into here and widen this channel without worrying about channeling it deeper. And allows me to keep a nice square edge on this as well. Hey. Another test fit. Oh yeah, we're getting way closer. Looks like my upper transverses are pretty good. Those X's need to get fixed. See how these lower X's look? All right. Hopefully you heard that, but that sound was this piece kind of snapping into place, which is exactly what I want. This one is not quite wide enough. All right, it's coming together. One of the most difficult things you might find on this is keeping this angle on the upper bout X in line, because that angle is so drastic compared to the side. You really do want to be sure to keep that angle accurate as you can. Let's see. Okay, I think all of them are fitting except this lower X. So we just need to fix that, and then we'll have to do some, probably have to do some depth adjustments. This is getting close. Yeah. Yes. All right. This is looking good. Now I just need to do that depth check. Show you how I do that. Turn out the lights. All right. To do this depth check, I take a flashlight, get that down in there. Now I realign the braces where they're supposed to go. Now that I have the light in there, I can see exactly where any issues are. Now, upper transverse has to come down a little bit, and so does this X brace. Looks like all of them have to come down maybe 0.5 millimeter or so, just a little bit. So that, the channel's just about perfect side to side, but that has to come down just a little bit. So I'm gonna go through all these and file these down just a bit and then come back to what I hope is the final fit. But I wanted to give you an idea of what I'm looking for when I drop that flashlight in and take a look at these, because I can see where that light's coming through right here and here. I can see on the bottom of this channel that the issue is the depth, because everything else is nice and clean. Just got to fix that. Then we'll be good, and hopefully we can get this glued up quickly. Now I am going to take the unsafe side with the teeth on it and get my channels about 0.5 millimeter deeper. And I want to do this with the file because that Dremel has a tendency to chew the sides of these channels up really quickly, and I want to keep them as square as I can. I'm just going to go around and do these one at a time. All right, I like that. That's good. All right, that's good. Next. Now this just got a slightly different file, a little fatter and flat. Just to try and make that bottom a little more even. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. One more thing before we go back over to the Go Bar deck. Almost forgot. I do like to resurface this gluing surface. So remember, 30-foot radius on the top in the 30-foot dish. It's easy to get those confused, so just double check every time. Plenty clean, good. Now the one thing we need to be sure is that when we just resurfaced that top, that we didn't take down the height so as to mess up our channels. So I'm going to do one check on that. Okay, this upper bout is still great. Now those look good. This X changed a little bit, so let me fix that. Perfect. Next. Okay, same on the lower bout there. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. That is exactly what I want to see. Now we're ready to glue up.